Welcome. This is Astrology Insight Now. It's a weekly forecast program with astrology and a guided meditation activation to help you make the most of your week and to heighten confidence for daily life. It's run by Pamela Cuccinell, that's me, the astrologer, and Susie Mazzoli, Master Healer. We invite you to find out more about our individual work, Susie Mazzoli, susiemazzoli.com, or insightoasis.com for astrology. We look forward to your joining us every week. Please share with your friends. Here we go.
Welcome, everybody. This is Astrology Insight Now with Pamela Cuccinell and Susie Mazzoli. And here we are, week 21 of 2024. Pam's going to let us know all about the week starting Monday the 20th, which also includes the date 21 this week in this 21st week of the year. And I will be back with our meditation. Pam, what's in store?
Okay, I'm glad somebody's counting the weeks in the year, I suppose. It's good to know where we are in space. Okay, so the moon is void, of course, most of the day. I'm going to explain what that means, and I'm also going to add that the times I give are Eastern times, so you need to keep that in mind depending on where you live. So when the moon is void, of course, what's happening is it's not making any significant geometric aspects to another heavenly body in the skies. So what that means to astrologers is that there's no glue, nothing holds the emotional charge to actually follow through with a new idea or a connection or a new relationship. That doesn't mean things can't happen, because we always want to keep in mind personal horoscopes. So if you do have a strong Libra position, or perhaps another cardinal sign, Aries, Cancer, Capricorn, then maybe there is a connection happening, but you'd have to know your astrology to know if that were significant. In general, we say that when the moon is void, of course, you don't want to begin something new, because again, depending on what the new thing is, it's not necessarily going to have the kind of follow through that you'd like. I mean, sometimes we like to do something and we really don't want to have it come to fruition. So, void, of course, can be a good time to do that. But I'm not going to get too much into the weeds on that. But when you have an all day void, of course, moon, which this is pretty much what's going on, because the moon does not enter the next sign until 6:34 p.m. Again, that's Eastern time zone. It's not necessarily the time you want to begin something. Another thing that a lot of people like to do, void, of course, is purge, like get rid of things that you don't want to deal with anymore. And this is interesting because we are in the waxing moon cycle. The full moon will be in a couple of days, and I'll be talking about that. So if there is something you really want to finish up and kind of put to rest, this is an excellent time to get that in motion, so that when the moon enters the next sign, and certainly as we move towards that full moon, you're able to work on something that you're much more jazzed about. So when the moon enters the sign of Scorpio at 6:34 p.m. on the 20th, then what's going on is that we are entering a time where research, therapeutic things, kind of plumbing the depths, is really, really very charged. The ability to do this is very, very strong. The other thing to keep in mind on this day is that the sun has entered Gemini. It did it early in the morning, 8:59 a.m. Eastern time. So with that, more, the sun is basically, it's air, it's mutable, it's in the arc of at the end of spring before we move into summer, although with climate alterations, sometimes it feels like summer way before we're there. So, what's happening is that we're in this energy that's more about give me information, let me sift through a lot of ideas, and then I can assess or come to a place where I really understand where I want to go and what I want to do. Now, with the moon in Scorpio, when the sun is in Gemini, there's there's a bit of the picture that it makes is basically Geminian energy is so much about just let it come, bring it on, as much as I can see, just I will swallow and sift through and move through information. With the moon in Scorpio, there's that piece that wants to delve into certain things. So a lot of stuff can be coming by, and yet it's as though the image that comes in my mind is I think of the bug zappers, the the bugs are moving around and then they get a little too close to the electronic zapper and it gets it. Well, that's energetically what this may feel like, this sense of don't let that run by too fast. I'm going to snag it. And it doesn't mean that you're going to singe it and burn through it. Actually, this Scorpio moon cycle is well aspected. And what that means is that when we stay with something that we want to really understand and we're willing to look under the rock, if you will, and go where we need to go with it, we hit a point of greater understanding. Not everybody is comfortable with this, and that's one of the things that may be occurring on this night of the 20th. Some people may push it away, including yourself. There may be a sense of, nah, I don't want to go there. I don't want to explore that. That's not what I want to be thinking about. And yet, if it resurfaces, and for those of us who do take time with whatever that is, we can really come to a point of synthesis where we're able to view it in a different light. So the 21st has this exploration energy as well. In the morning, you might experience again some sort of tug or resistance for something that's being explored or studied. I mean, I also, it's not just verbal information, intellectual understanding. It can also be a feeling, it can be emotional wisdom, it can be a physical sensation. And the image I get when I'm thinking about this is as, let's say, you're working with a body therapist or massage therapist or someone who's helping you with your overall physicality. There can be some resistant push that happens. And in the morning, this is emphasized with well, explain to me how this feels. What's the sensation? What are you experiencing? And finding a way to articulate, to understand that. Now, what I'm also speaking about is metaphorically. So it may not be that you're working with a body worker or healer, but it's that kind of sense of something's not feeling right, or I don't know how to put it into words. And yet, as we move through that, again, it's being comfortable with the unknown, and this is huge. I I mean, few of us get through life without having that experience. The incredible discomfort and fear that can come from the actual unknown. What's going to happen? Where is this going? What's the outcome of the surgery, the experience, the travel, the news, the overall tenor of how people are responding to information. And many people now are experiencing a lot of anxiety and concern about what is going to happen. And so oftentimes it's, even though this is it's a challenge, but it's sitting with the discomfort and allowing that sense of, okay, I know I'm in a sense of unknown. I don't know what's ahead. And I am moving with the absolute sense of trust and awareness that I will be paying attention so that my response is the best it can be when more information comes my way. And this is kind of the beauty of these couple of days where we can sit in that experience of not having all the information or a really clear picture, but really getting comfortable with, well, with trust, with the ability to feel that somehow we will be able to respond to and find the right people, associates, helpers, community, who also is going to move in ways that are regenerative, restorative, and moving with that, as I talked about last week, moving with that higher octave of love. How are we going to transform in ways that we can't imagine? That is the unknowable. So Tuesday and Wednesday are very strong days to bring in the allegiance, the trust, the community, even if you don't know who those people or the situations are, just a sense that it's going to move and be fulfilled in a way that is for highest good. And so things that we accomplish over these couple of days or are aiming for, it can really come to very nice fruition. And the full moon happens on the 23rd. It is exact at 9:53 a.m. Eastern Time. And a lot occurs before then. So, one of the things that happens, and this is significant depending on where you live or how late you stay up, but in the wee hours of the day on the 23rd, the moon is starting its transition to leave the sign of Scorpio and enter Sagittarius, which is what the full moon is in. And so it's void of course as of 3:28 a.m., the morning of the 23rd. So depending on where you live or if you're awake or if you're in the dreamscape, just with having gone to bed with a sense of intention and fruition, there's a opening that can happen where we're allowing ourselves to welcome in something meaningful. Once the moon enters Sagittarius, then it is moving towards that exact full moon, which, as I said, happens 9:53 a.m. Eastern time. So daylight on that particular time zone, it won't be seen exact, but of course at night we will experience what appears to be a full moon. Now, there's a lot of lovely, juicy energy around this, even though this full moon has its degree of challenges. So, the challenges that I foresee in this is that there's a lot of creative juice. There's like rose-colored glasses, being in love with love, which can be wonderful for artists and romantics and just an overall sense of joyousness. the caveat is you really want to pay attention to anything that is demands a contractual aspect to it or a follow through aspect to it, where who's showing up when, because we can think something looks absolutely wonderful, but if it doesn't have the support or the wherewithal to go the distance, then we're leaving ourselves open for disappointment. So here's the thing, when I was talking earlier about what's going on earlier in the week, where we're basically opening ourselves up and positioning ourselves to welcome in the unknown with a sense of that we trust it's going to be for our highest good. If around this point in time, when the full moon happens on the 23rd, the 24th, into morning of the 25th, if something looks like it's too good to be true, then again, go back to your trusting your highest self. If it's too good to be true, then ask yourself, is this really, how's this working on my personal meter of what I think is really something that has the substance, integrity, and support that's going to follow through with what I need or want to happen. Now, this can be no particular big deal. It may be that what's ever going on these days doesn't really require that kind of integrity or substance or follow through that's necessary when, for instance, when you're buying a home or taking a new job or hiring a new applicant. It doesn't mean that none of these things can pan out or work the way you like. But what is important is that we are careful that we aren't hoping or filling in the edges or what's not known with what we wish it would be or imagine it would be. Because what we want to do at this point in time is give ourselves a kind of testing of, does this have the stuff that is going to fulfill the fantasy, the intention, the goal, the what it is I'm aiming for. And again, if it's a simple thing like you're buying a product to clean your windows or something, I wouldn't over worry it. But if it's something that is is absolutely necessary or that you're investing in, then you want to give it that extra testing or scrutiny that's going to make it much more clear to you how this goes. So, this is the value of saying things like, I need to think about it over the weekend. Uh, Let me get back to you on Monday. Because what happens is that once the moon goes void of course at 10:47 a.m., and don't get me wrong, the days of when that moon gets full, the 23rd and the 24th, they can be absolutely fun, energetic days with that moon in Sagittarius. I'm just talking about things that you want to turn out a certain way and you're putting energy and time in that it it behooves you to make sure that you've got equal support that you can realize and understand better once we get into the weekend. Because what happens is, as I said, the moon goes void, of course, 10:47 a.m. on Saturday, the 25th, and then it enters the sign of Capricorn, Earth, and Cardinal at 11:36 a.m. And that's this particular placement of the moon looks far more instructive about, does that thing really have the chassis, is that car built that it's really going to take you cross country, or does it just look really cool? Uh, the other thing that's really interesting that happens on the 25th is the planet Jupiter enters Gemini. And Jupiter has been in the sign of Taurus for um, quite some time, and now it's entering Gemini. And basically, Jupiter changes signs about every year. It may retrograde back into the other side, but it's pretty much in a sign for roughly a year. So it enters Gemini on the 25th. And that, coupled with the fact that the sun is in Gemini and the moon in Capricorn, aspected in a way that has to do with let's put our shoulder to the task of whatever the idea is, and we can lift off. It's a strong weekend for versatility, for getting the information you need, and for really hunkering down in a practical way to get those dreams launched. And now I turn it over to Susie.
Getting things launched. We love that. We love to get things launched. Are we having any trouble with motivation or getting stuck? Then maybe we need a bit of help. Of course, reach out to Pam or to me for our different types of help that we offer. Because if you need to launch something, it's good to know the timing of it, Pam. I'm always checking in with Pam to see when's a good time to do certain things.
That's true.
Of course, yeah, as a therapist and holistic health counselor, homeopath, sometimes we need a bit of help. Okay, let's jump into our meditation. And I invite everyone just to take a few moments, 10 little minutes, to just feel yourself getting centered. And perhaps we'll concentrate today on our personality, our energy center, the magic solar plexus chakra. For those of you that are not familiar with that chakra, that's right there in the middle of your torso at the xiphoid process, that little area where your ribs come together in the middle. And if you like, and if you can do it, you can place one hand on top of the other on top of your solar plexus, the internal sun. And the color for this chakra in the system that we use is yellow, beautiful, strong, bright yellow. And when we are imagining the colors, it's very important to really have a strong idea of the color so that the color is pure, it's not murky, it's not pastel-y, it's not darker, but a strong, vibrant color, because every color has a frequency, and that frequency has an effect on us. And even if we're just imagining, visualizing the color in our brain, in our mind's eye, we're actually creating that frequency for our body. So we don't even need to see it physically. We don't need to open our eyes. We can just imagine it and still have the same effect. That's the incredible way that our brain works, incredible way that the universe works, I guess, that we can create this healing frequency within ourselves. And one might say that all of the world is a creation of our mind. It's certainly what the Tibetan Buddhists say, that this is the outer manifestation. Everything that is happening is the outer manifestation of this inner mind stream that's happening. So visualize this delicious, beautiful, bright yellow in your mind stream. See that as a ball of light around the area in your body called the solar plexus. And the solar plexus is connected to the digestive system in our body, our stomach, and the organs of digestion. And it has to do with our sense of self, our self-esteem, our self-confidence, our self-awareness, what we think about ourselves. And as we know, what we think about ourselves really affects the way that we are in the world. It strongly influences how we respond to the world, how we respond to others, how we respond to situations. So just have a little feel in there and see, what does it feel like in my solar plexus? Is there a healthy sense of ego, a healthy sense of confidence? Am I a little bit wanting in self-confidence? Do I have too much self-confidence? And is that too much self-confidence overcompensating for the fact that I actually don't have self-confidence? So as we're tapping in, we're still holding that beautiful color yellow, allowing it to be like the sun, bringing us brightness, bringing us life. And the sun, which actually does allow for life on earth, for our life. Thank you, sun. And then as we go a little bit deeper, just tapping into our personality. And each of us is very different. Each of us is also very much the same. We share a lot of the same things. And just allow yourself now to celebrate who you are and celebrate the fact that you are an individual. Celebrate your differences. Allow yourself to feel really comfortable with who you are. With who you are, no matter where you are in your life, what stage of life you're in, what you're up to. Feeling comfortable in our own skin. Feeling comfortable with our own decisions. feeling comfortable to be alone, feeling comfortable to not necessarily fit in with the crowd or the family or the colleagues, but it's okay to be different. It's okay to have our own opinions. And feeling that you can be yourself everywhere in all situations, that you can be transparent, that you can be vulnerable, that you can be honest, that you have courage, that you have courage to do something new, that you have courage to be free from any kind of restrictions or some sort of societal norms. Allow that yellow light, that yellow ball of light now to really increase your courage. To become more and more brave every day. And wherever there are any signs of ego that is not really serving you anymore, just allow all of those bits and pieces now to turn into wisdom. We don't let anything go. We're not going to make a mess. We're not going to leave little bits of ourselves anywhere. We're just allowing everything to transform into wisdom. Wisdom to be a loving, kind, generous, thoughtful, confident, and brave person that is here to do good in the world, that is here to share, that is here to be this beautiful, confident being of light. Visualize the yellow light now growing into all parts of your body so that you're literally sitting in a ball of yellow light, and feel this energy washing over you like the sun bringing you life. Gently opening our eyes. Again, thank you to our sun, to our star. Taking a nice deep breath. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much, Pam, for our forecast. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And remember to reach out for Pam or for Susie if you need a little extra help. And we are available through our websites. Thanks so much, everyone. Lots of love. Love now.
You have been listening to Susie Mazzoli and Pamela Cuccinell. If you've enjoyed this program, consider a donation. A link for that at astrologyinsightnow.com. We invite you to join us again for next week's podcast. Please share with others who can benefit from insight, and have a stellar week.